Hello, wanting to go ahead and record the meeting that we had for our November Stamp Club. And so this video will show you the step-by-step instructions and tips to put together the packet of projects that was sent to you, or for you to rewatch and be able to hear all the things that you need to see. I'm going to make sure that my volume is up. And we're going to hope that this goes through well, because I'm not hearing anything, which is how this works when I'm recording via Zoom. But remember, you will want your Festive and Fun stamp set and or whatever other Christmas set you're going to use in place of this. But all these projects were designed around the Festive and Fun. And so I've got your project sheet and you've got your stamps, and I'm going to go ahead and set these aside while we get going. So kind of put it off to the side here and get going. So the very first project we had, and I'll pull out the finished, was this ornament, and it used the giraffe, and this uses some macrame rings. These are 4-inch macrame rings. I'd purchased mine off of Amazon. They came in a pack of 10. There's very different companies. If you want a link for these specific ones, I'm more than happy to share that with you. So let me show you how I did this one. And it was a little more detailed, all of these, mostly because of the coloring. So I'll set it here. What I had done during Stamp Club, and I'm going to give you a little hint, we're going to use the tip, because I was thinking I didn't have it. What I had everyone do was lay the ring on top of the, let me tell you which one this was. I've got it written down. The Merry, Bold, and Bright Designer Series paper, and trace around the ring on the outside, not the inside, but on the outside, and then cut it out. However, I found that, let me grab it out here, the Deckled Circles dies that are in the mini catalog and will carry over, that part I did find out, has a circle that's about that same size, not quite, but pretty stinking close. And so if you want to be able to do these a little bit easier than having to cut them out, I'm going to grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I don't believe that this is small enough to go through the mini machine. So you'd need the larger machine. If you've got the old Big Shot, that would work as well. And you grab it out of the way. I'll stick everything in front of me. So I'm going to lay it on, line up, and I've got a 4-inch square from this Designer Series paper. Put my plates together, run them through. I know I would have been thrilled to have done these for you ahead of time. So out of the way, put my plates out of the way, and I clear my space here. So you won't need this piece. You could use the excess for something else. And that allows us, let me put my ring away before I lose it somewhere. You have all kinds of them, and these macrame rings come in all kinds of different sizes. Macrame is kind of back in fashion, I guess is how we'd word that. So what I did is I used my silicone mat. You don't have to do that. Just a piece of scratch paper would work. And you're going to use your multi-purpose liquid glue, what I fondly refer to as green tip glue. And my glue started. Always the harder part, isn't it? There we go. You want just a bead around that outside ring. And we're doing this first because you want it to dry. So while we're working on our giraffe and coloring and cutting out, the ring and the paper can dry. And it's amazing that even though the ring is a metal ring, it does stay on this paper really well. So the only thing I found is it has a little bit of a sticky edge, but I think it's going to stay on my tree quite well. There is a little connector section on the ring. You want it at the top because we're going to cover, oops, and almost scooted ahead. Give me a sec and I'm going to grab one thing. This was one of the projects. Microphone back on. This was one of those projects that I didn't get everything cut for. So I had used the Simply Elegant trim. This trim is on back order now. Oh, I shouldn't say back order, it's unorderable, and will be until the beginning of the year. But any gold cord would work. And so what I used, did I tell you how much I used? I think I did. About 12 inches. And so we're going to guess, because at this point, guessing works. So we're going to use what I'm going to guess is about 12 inches. You want to put this on first. So I kind of went around like so, and I looped it. So let's see how much you can see this. So I came and I went around, and then I came and took the other side. To go around, so that we were around 3 times. Then I tied it in a knot. My hands have had a little bit of a challenge lately. So let's see if I can get it to come up here. So I put it in a knot, and then I knotted it again because I want it to be nice and secure. Then I took the ends and I looped them around each other. Let's have a circle here and kind of see. And then I'm going to poke these ends through that circle, that loop. And then I'm going to slide it up to where I don't want to take off more than I have to, but I want it to loop at the top so that I have a hanger for on my tree. And then I'm going to trim off that excess. So like that. That is important, by the way. I think I'm still wet enough on my circle. So then it will lay on top. You again want to make sure that that is centered in the top. And then we're going to just set this out of the way. But you'll note that it just barely covers up the back of that paper. So then you have a strip of basic white, and you're going to want to use your giraffe. And then I colored using the Stampin' Blends. You can use watercolor pencils. You could use the Stampin' Write markers. You could watercolor using our stamp pads. That's another option. If you're using watercolor, you're going to want to make sure that you have StazOn and not the Memento ink. I'm using Memento because I'm using the blends. And so I'm not going to color everything just to speed up this video and not make you sit and watch me color. But you can pause and do your coloring and then come back when you're ready to finish the rest of the assembly. but I'm going to go ahead and start and kind of give you some hints here. So I'm going to set that stamp out of the way. And I kind of just show you the things I used. We did figure out that the bronze blend would work as well. I'm using the pecan pie, and I'm using the dark one here for all of his little spots. And so I'll just kind of just do a little bit here, so you don't need to see all of that. And then I used Daffodil Delight, and I'm using the light blend to color the giraffe's body. And so then, of course, going around all of those spots, and I'll just kind of do his head, because I can color this later. So just to show you the colors I used. Then I used the dark Daffodil Delight to do the star. And I also used it to do some of, the coloring of the ornaments. You can be as simple or as elaborate as you want. And there's all kinds of different options there. And then I've got Real Red. This is the dark Real Red. And I'm just going to color his Santa hat. And then I colored some of the ornaments as well. Again, I'm not going to do them all because I don't want to take up time we don't need. Then I'm using light and the dark shaded spruce, and you can shade or you can just use one of them. The dark is rather dark, so this is the light shaded spruce to do the tree. And I don't use the brush tip much. I use it some. And I tend to kind of come in little teeny circles as I'm going around, just to give it the space to fill. What you'll find is that you don't really need to do much. And I'm, again, not going to do all of this. I also had used the Real Red to come in and do like the bow. And you need a really light touch because this is pretty tiny of a space to fill. If you're using your pencils, of course, you have a lot more leeway with what you do. Okay. And then we've got dots on the holly berry, and you can just tap at it. That's what I'm doing here. The other place you would use your shaded spruce would be like on the holly leaves. And again, you can kind of just tap it. You don't even need to put much effort toward that. And let's see what else. I used crumb cake for the pot of the tree. But again, you can use whatever colors you decide. And then I did use the pecan pie for the tree base. That was the other place I had used a different color. So, I like so. You can kind of tell from the finished. I'll bring it a little closer to the camera so you can see a little bit here. I also did the box in the crumb cake. So then you're going to use your scissors. A pointy tip scissor will work the best. I'm using paper snips, which is what we sell from Stampin' Up! And I'm leaving just a little bit of an edge around when I'm fussy cutting this out. And that gives us an advantage because it allows me to kind of come in. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to come around my ornament, leaving that little bit of an edge. And then when I come around the hook, I will leave it a little wider. And the hardest part to go is in this section. Now, I'm coming up, I'm going to come around, and I'm turning my paper, not my scissors. And here, and then I'm going to come around the edge of my tree. Just a little further up there. And notch around that tree. Always come back if you want a little tighter, or you want, well, you can't go closer. You want a little snugger, then you can go in. Then I'm going to come up and around. Around here. I don't want to get it where I can show you how. Like so. I got just a sliver of white showing. And I'm going to cut that aside, just makes it easier when it's not kind of looping around. Then I came up, and this is a part you can decide to not do. So you could decide not to come and cut all of this out. I cut it out. I came around and went in. And again, you can get closer once you get a little more of this relief out of here. But you could decide to maybe only go that far. You could also go all the way in like I had done. The reason I mentioned the pointy tip scissors is because then you can get right up to his head, come in, and then go around that star. And I'm going to come in here just a minute with that out of there, because it'll make it easier for me to come back in on this other side. And then you'll continue going all the way around your giraffe. The other side is a lot faster. So this is the slower side. So take your time as you come around. And scissors lined up there. There we go. Like I said, you can kind of come in. I will go back when I'm not on camera because it's a whole lot easier. So I'm going to come around here, and then I'm going to show you kind of what I did without finishing if I can. So I'm going to go around the ball of his hat. And if you end up like I am here and getting awfully close, get these scraps out of the way. So I've not completed it, but there's enough here that I've done. So what I'm going to do then, if I were going to finish, I'd finish coloring. I would finish cutting out this section here, though you can tell it wouldn't really look bad to only go that far. To attach, what I did is I came in with mini Stampin' Dimensionals. I came in and I grabbed dimensionals up here, and I made sure that I had a dimensional down at this other corner. I'm kind of cheating because I don't have it cut out all the way. And then I layered in dimensionals. You can probably see it better if I stick it on the mat. I came in with dimensionals all along the back side. So I made sure I put one on the star. I used quite a few. Whoops, took the cover off on that one. I used quite a few mini dimensionals so that I could lift this all the way up. Now, what's going to happen when I take those off is that he's going to sit, and those dimensionals are going to sit on the rings. And all of the rest of it will keep it lifted up just enough above the rings so that everything is set up and secured onto my ornament, and it can hang on your tree. So I'm going to go ahead and step it aside, and we'll go on to our next project while this all continues to dry. So our second project was the card. And I think I have one sitting here that's got the gift card in it. So this is a gift card that we put together. It's a 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of cardstock. And so let me grab my packet here, get all these pieces out to kind of show you what you have. Now, I folded it kind of just briefly, but you're going to score or use your bone folder to get all of this crisply folded. Set that aside. We're going to stamp on this piece. You're going to stamp on all 3 of these little rectangles. The real red, the granny apple green, and the shaded spruce. We have some layers and then a piece of white for the inside. So you're going to match up all of your papers. And whichever direction you decide you want these lights to go, we should have an even reveal all the way around them, at least mostly. And the same on the second one, which is a little thicker. Again, decide what direction you want them going. And then it's a matter of attaching them to the front on the flaps that coordinate. So I have a smaller flap here, again with an even reveal. And then I have an upper, it's a little bigger. We're going to go ahead and attach this to that side. Like so. A little bit of a sticky there. Some eraser on that. Then I'm going to put some adhesive here. The best adhesive to use would be tear and tape. You could use the liquid glue. That works quite well. Just make sure that if you do that, you just let it dry for a minute or so. So I'm going to put just a strip here. I want just enough to allow, with my finger here. Didn't want to tear off for some reason. Okay. And I'm going to come in along this side. You want basically enough to just keep that gift card inside the card. So then I'm going to grab my take your pick tool because it works pretty well to lift up those reveal strips. Then I'm going to close this. Then I have that pocket ready to go. I had taken and put Happy Christmas Wishes. I don't think I grabbed I have to grab a stamp. Where did I throw my stamps? Oh, this thing right here. I need to grab Happy Christmas Wishes, like so. And I will need to grab another another block. I'm going to grab a big block. So out of the way. I had used marker and put the Christmas in a different color. You certainly don't have to. And for our purposes here, I'm not going to. I'll show you both. So I'm going to ink up Happy Christmas Wishes, put it toward the top, centered right to left, like so. Then I can attach that in the inside. That will go right here. Then we can mess with a greeting for the front. For that, I have got the May your season be one that's festive and fun. And you're going to ink it up. Make sure that I've got it inked well in the center there. And you want to center it as best you can. Like so. And then you're going to stamp it 3 more times. And all you need is enough to get these words. So there we go. And I'm not using the ones at the top, which help. Okay, so I'm going to set that out of the way. And I'm going to grab out my paper snips again. Now, you'll decide which of the colors you want to use. But what I did is I came in and I'm going to just cut out and around season. And then you can keep the rest of these words to use and do something similar. I'll snip off all this excess. So I've got season. I'm going to put fun in green. You could do whatever color you want. Again, you'll keep those extra pieces for something else. Okay. And then I put festive. Again, you can use whatever you want. You can use what colors you want. So, and out just to reveal those. So, I'll throw these in my little garbage. I'm going to pull out my multi-purpose liquid glue again, and I'm going to put a bead of glue over those words that I cut out. And I just need enough to hold it. And I did find that my take your pick tool, wherever I've left it at, since I had it there, works actually quite well with the little pickup sections to lay it on top. So I'm going to grab it here. Season. I'm going to put fun. It's just sitting right here. Like so. And then I can put festive. Like that. And I'm going to push it all over here. And if it's a little wonky, it's okay. If you don't like that, I think I'm going to try to straighten it up a little bit. You have some wiggle room with the glue, which is what the nice thing is with that. So, like so. Then you're going to want to take your adhesive, whatever kind you're choosing to use, and you're going to layer it onto red stitched rectangle, like so. And then to attach everything, I don't want it to go all the way down, so I'm only going to put adhesive on the top, I don't know, 2/3, like so. I put it down flat. I'm going to center it right to left, like so. So then it will attach like that. And again, I'll use my take my pick tool and grab these gems. So these are from, oh, what did I decide? They're Festive Pearls. And you can put them wherever you would like. That is totally up to you. But they come in the 3 different colors. And it's kind of fun. Like so. So there you be. That's our project number 2. I'll set that out of the way. Project number 3, turn the paper over on the other side, had some options, and we'll get a little crazy. We had a lot of tags. We spent our full 2 hours on club night working on all this, and a lot of it was because of all of these tags. So you want to kind of set everything aside, and I kind of had everything kind of set how I wanted with all of the all these pieces. So this one came here and these came here. Okay, so this one is watercolor paper. I want to share a little bit about all those. We'll go ahead and stamp them. I used watercolor pencils and or the blends to work through all of them. So let's start with this one. So, and I've got a scratch piece of paper just so that I can stamp things. So let me think here. Let's clean up my words because I won't need these words again, but I will need this block. All right. So we'll clean this up. And I'm going to grab my mousse. Put my mousse on here. And this tag was actually taken directly from the idea out of the catalog. So it's not something I came up with necessarily. How we're going to attach is, so I'm going to come and grab, I'm going to make sure his antlers stay all the way in the circle. Ink it with my Tuxedo Black ink. Let's get him out of the way. And then color it with the colored pencils. Your choice. And I won't do all of it just because I think it takes more time than we need to. So you'll color in, and I did not color his head at all. You can. It really is how much do you want to do. I came in, I colored his antlers, and I colored a little bit of the fruitcake, and I colored his sweater. And again, you can choose to do different colors than what I even had done. So I did an antler, and then this is my real red. So then I also then came in and colored a sweater. The harder and more full that you color in with the pencils, the watercolor pencils, the more vibrant your colors will be. And the lighter hand you have, the more light your colors will be. And so it's really up to you how hard you want to do that, how much you want to. You can not even fill it all the way in. And if you don't want to blend them out with a blender pen, you don't even need, you can go really light and just not use water on this at all. So I would come like so. I did a little bit on my fruitcake. And then I took my blends, and just to kind of give you a hint on all of this without coloring everything. When you're not doing too much, you can get away with using the basic white paper and the Tuxedo Black Memento. If you're doing too much blending, you're going to bleed it and it's not going to look right. But if you don't do too much, you can get away with that. So you're going to do something about like that. I'm going to set them aside because we don't need to get too crazy here. I'm going to pull out my stamp that says a little something for you with lots of love for me. You're going to want to emboss buddy it if you have your embossing buddy. This is something I think I forgot to do on club night. It's the best thing to keep the little flecks from showing up when you're embossing. Ooh. But this will take off your finger oils or my finger oils from when I cut things out. I'm going to use Versamark ink, and I gave you a big enough piece that you should be able to stamp it right in the middle. As long as you can see it, you know you've got it. I'll set that out of the way. I'm going to pull out my white embossing powder. This is from the Basics embossing powder group. I'm going to grab it. It's kind of a tiny piece. And if you have tweezers, I have mine, but they're not on the table here. That's the best way to go. So I have my powder on there. You're going to use your heat tool. Let's see, can you see? I'll see if I can't show you. It starts to fill in all the way. If you heat too long in one place, you will burn the powder. Let me double check. I think we might be there. If it's not shiny, then it's not heated all the way through. But I think it might be all the way. Otherwise, you're going to find your powder will brush off. Okay, so I'll set my paper out of the side. So then I grab my paper snips, and for the card, for this tag, I came, did I have it sitting right in front of me? Yes, for you, with lots of love. And I didn't worry about the rest. You can put more on here if you wanted. I just came across, you can, again, can keep that from me and use it on something else. But all I did was come in and we'll throw it later, but and snipped it up a little bit. So then, so we have these two pieces. You're going to want to use glue on the back of this little, I'm not quite sure what they call these, but little slot or tag holders, maybe. I don't know. Be nice if they gave me names for them all, but they don't. So I'm going to grab, making sure that my hole shows here. Going to line up with a little bit of an offset, and then I'm going to fold that over. And then I'm going to take and use just my adhesive. I did not pop up the circle, but I'm going to come in and offset. And then this piece I did use dimensionals on the back for. Again, mini ones work quite well, but you could cut down full size. And use whatever you would like. You wouldn't even have to pop it up if you didn't want to. So like so. And then this sits on, whoop, right here. So that you have your tag. And then you take one of your pieces of cord. And you can do this two different ways. You can just loop it through, or you can put the ends together, poke both ends through your hole, take them through your loop, and then you can loop the other end, or you can leave this loose and have it for attaching on your bag or whatever gift you wanted to use it for. So this gets the same kind of treatment. So this is the next tag I took, and I'm going to kind of streamline through this a little bit. I'm going to emboss Buddy my circle again so I can get any finger oils off of that. And then I'm going to try not to touch my fingers on it. Again, I'm going to use the very same stamp, but we're going to use the entire stamp this time. So I'm going to get my emboss or my Versamark ink and be as centered as I can be. If I see the same color shining through, I know that I have it inked well. I'm going to dip it into my powder, tap it off. Again, I'm going to heat it until it starts to get a little shiny. It starts to change. Let me see if I can get my tool over here. My cord is a little ways away, so it helps. Your tweezers are good to help keep things from moving. You want to keep moving your heat tool around. Don't focus it all on one spot, just until things begin to change color. It doesn't take too long. It does take a little bit of practice to get it where you see it lighten up and change color. So then we're going to take this in this direction, and I've got our little critter here, our beaver. And I'm going to ink him in our Memento ink. And I put him over on this side. And I told everyone on club night, you can decide what I had done on one of our tags. It's this one here. I had actually then used an X-Acto knife and cut around my candy cane. On club night, I just stamped and pushed our tag a little further over to make it a little simpler. So that's the option I'm going to go with. I'm not going to color because I know you know how. I use watercolored pencils, but again, you can use whatever color medium you'd like. So to make it simpler, just bring that circle as close as you can. You're going to again stack these. So with the Granny Apple Green, I'm going to grab like so. And I'm going to take and line up my hole. I'm going to stack them, which I found a little easier than what I was trying to do during club night. And then fold that over, which is enough for them to come together. You could attach these together. And that works well. Then I had given you 3 little dots. These are the reliefs from the circles that came from this die. And as a reminder, these are from the Merriest Trees dies. That's what this tag came from for all three of these tags. And that is in a bundle, Marius Trees. This is going to end up carrying over into either online or at the new catalog. And so you will have a chance to get it, but it will not be available as a bundle. That's kind of the biggest change. And so then you're going to, I think I gave you yours on glue dots, so you don't need to put glue on yours. I just put a dot of glue, but I use these in place of any other kind of gem, which is a great tip. You don't have to always use gems. You can use things that you would normally throw away. So like that. Again, you're going to take one of your pieces of cord on it, and I'm going to just, whoops, well, I thought I was. Up here. There we go. I'm going to put two of them together. And through the loop. And for now, that's going to work. And then our last one, I'm going to go ahead and take Mr. Giraffe and put him away. And I need our rhinoceros. These are the cutest little guys. Like so. This is watercolor paper. So I'm going to use StazOn. StazOn dries fairly fast. And so it also, though, is waterproof. And so you're not going to bleed it when you're using water. And so you can use our painters. You want to go pretty fast from having inked it up to putting it down onto your paper, and then give good pressure, because there's a lot of nap in a watercolor paper. Then you can color, and I would use StazOn cleaner to clean the stamp. It's our best way to clean it. And then I used our watercolored pencils. I'm kind of just do a little bit just to show. I'm going to use gray. Is that gray? Yes. So you don't color his horn, but just a real light hand on the and kind of in circles, like so. Just kind of fill it around. Oh, here, I'm not going to go too hard. And then, like, if I wanted the same color but darker, just push harder, and you'll see when I color it in, it makes a difference. And I would color, you know, however you want with his sled. You can make some packages red. You know, again, the harder you push, the more vibrant your color will be. That gives you some options. And then, like, I could give that a green, granny apple green bow. Again, if I didn't go as hard, it wouldn't be as bright. So something like so. And then I have my painter, still have my painter here. So then use your water painters, which gives you a great option. And make sure I've got it flowing through there. Okay. So then I can use my watercolor painters or water painters and push that pencil around. It gives a whole different look. But watercolor paper is just pretty cool stuff. And so this would be a fancy tag for someone special. Then I come in and do his boot. See how much different that looks, and yet it was the same colored pencil. It helps to keep a paper towel around to clean in between colors. And again, I would have done the whole package, not just half of it. Clean it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my green, the bow. And if you get a little out, that's part of what watercolor is good for. So like so, clean it up. You would keep doing that for all the parts and the pieces. And then you would take and put your last piece of cord through. Oh, maybe. Like so. Like that, and I'm going to leave the other end open. So those were the tags. You would, of course, continue to color them. Here is my colored pieces. Let me grab all of these and kind of share with you what we had done, like so. Then we had our gift bag, and I have instructions on your project sheet on how to make this a stand-up bag, not just a flat bag. And so with that, I want to grab my paper trimmer. This is kind of an old kind of technique from years ago. Put these out of the way a little bit. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer. You do not want to use the cutting blade. You do want the scoring blade. And even with the scoring blade, do not push hard. You need a pretty light hand. The harder you push, this is pretty thin paper, it's going to cut it through even with just the scoring blade. So you're going to come and line up, and it's best to have the bottom of the bag. You're going to line it up at 1 inch. And you're going to carefully score. You're going to turn it over. You're going to do it 1 inch. Again, just score. And then on the bottom side, you're going to score at 1 1/4 inches. You can score this bigger or smaller. All of that will determine your finished bag size. So those are all my scorings. I'm going to then fold along those scores. It helps. Grab your bone folder. Fold it in the other direction. Yeah, I'm going to fold again here along that 1 inch mark that I scored. Turn it, do it same thing on the other side. And then we have the bottom, and we want to score or fold along that score. And then we made it on the floor, all right, like so. Then I'm going to come, it helps to have folded first. You're going to come along those folds. So I've got a fold here. And I'm going to cut it only up into this lower score line here. I'm going to come here. By folding it first, it helps you to know where that's at. Then I'm going to open up just a little. And I want to cut a slit right along the bottom to open up. Basically, I'm getting a big tube. So I'm going to open here. And then I'm going to open along these other pieces up to there. And do the same thing here. Like so. Then I can open it all the way. And you kind of start to see how we can make this like that. So I'm going to fold these pieces in, and then I'm going to put adhesive on these other ends. So I'm going to take, and it's almost easiest to use your liquid glue. So So I'm going to put some adhesive here. And here. Let's open it up. And to put adhesive along that flat. Like I said, this is not new by any means. I had done this probably as far back as 2014. So it's been a while. Then you can see it from the top. It's almost easier to be able to stick your hand into there. Get it lined up. You have a little bit of wiggle room with using the glue. Like so. Then I want to do the same thing with the rest of this bottom flap by putting glue along the ends and edges and ends. And then I'm going to come down. Now I talked with gals on club night that had done one bag, and it is kind of fun, but it takes time. And so that's why the biggest reason we didn't do it. The bag I took a picture of has other color in it. And what I did is I took a ruler before we cut everything apart and before we assemble like this. And you can draw with marker lines. And I used that shaded spruce, our granny apple green, and our real red to kind of give more of the Christmas colors into the bag. Now your bag may not be quite the same colors. I used two different colors of the bags for us to get these. And so then to do the top, I just folded it over. You can make it as far up or as far down as you want it. And then you had a piece of the trim. This is sold in the in color trims. And so just wrap it around the top and tie it in a knot. You could tie it in a bow if you want. My hands aren't working real well for bows today, so we're not going to do a bow. And come around and go like so. And then you can loop any one of your tags kind of through here. And that allows you to fill it and gift it however you would like. So I just looped this around a few times. You could cut it off. I mean, that's all up to you. If you're giving the gift, you don't have to necessarily keep it preserved, but I didn't want it to use up all the extra. So that is our project. So we have our card, we have our gift bag with tag, and then our other two tags for a selection of projects. So if you have questions, make sure to reach out. Enjoy using this stamp set before we use it again in December. Thanks so much.